For 50 years, nobody talked. Nobody. The history books will tell you that. And I don't know what happened in 50 years later, but then men started to talk. Daddy, Grandpa, stop reading.
They were the guardians of the fleet, picket ships on guard patrol, protecting the perimeter of the convoy. Their mission? Keep enemy submarines and planes away from our cruisers and aircraft carriers. These proud ships were given a fitting name: destroyers.
I'd like to take you on a journey. It's a journey that I went on, but it's a journey about what happened in World War II. Just for all of you who don't know, my name is Donovan, Joslin, and once in a while I have a queer name of being passed around about being Jitter, so that's my nickname. So I'm not offensive if you call me Jitter. In fact, sometimes I kind of like them. And I want you to know that I'm no better than any of the other ones. There's many thousands of people who have died in World War II. And I have seen death at its worst. You have to realize that I'm 17. I hadn't been out of Grand Rapids. Never. We lived in Grand Rapids, and that was it. I didn't know anything about the outside world, so to speak. Maybe some of your other parents and so forth had the privilege of traveling or something like that, but we were not fortunate to have that. And so at 17, I was thrust into a world that was making me do things and making me tough and making me do things that I had never done before. And so, as I was training in Great Lakes, we wondered why we were doing some of these things, but only to realize that we'd have to use them. And so the training was very good. Now, the Harriet Bauer was launched in July 9, 1944, so it was a brand new ship. It was commissioned in September of 44. Okay, it was 22 tons. Its length was 376 feet and 40 feet wide. And it would go 34 knots. Aboard this ship, there were 363 officers and enlisted men. So if you was to put a man on the bow of the ship, stand, it would go clear to the end of the ship. So that's how many men that were on this destroyer. So that means, and you can just guess about how the close quarters that we had and so forth aboard the ship, but we all had our assignment. And there we learned not only our assignments, but we learned how to shoot. You people have heard a lot about drones, stuff like that there. A lot different than the ones that we had there, but we learned to shoot and airplanes, but we were shooting at drones. And I had never seen anything but a shotgun. And now to sit behind a 22 millimeter mag shooting hundreds of bullets a minute. We weren't in San Diego very long, and we started for the island of Hawaii. When we got to Hawaii, it was a rude awakening. You've all seen pictures, you've heard of the Arizona as it is today and all these things like that there. But as we went into Pearl Harbor, we saw it firsthand. We saw the destruction that bombs do to ships. And as we looked at them, it was only to realize what future that we had and would be in the future. We did not know where we were going when we left, because they did not want anybody to be able to call back home and say, well, we're headed for Iwo Jima, because this was an attack upon an island that was government protected and guaranteed, secrecy. The lucky, because of all the close calls that we had. So we were torpedoed twice, and we had this one plane landed on this area right here and went off like this here and landed in the water and exploded. And I told you about these suicide planes. We had a wise captain, because his planes would come down like that. The captain calculated one thing or another. So he turned his boat. Boom. Other occasions, coming in. Boom. I cannot tell you, because you don't keep track. It doesn't make any difference anyway. A lot of planes came, and because of the wisdom of our captain, we were not hit on fire. And so we went to fight the fire. Primary purpose, there were thousands of men aboard the ship. But there were men in the water. We couldn't save them. There was nothing we could do. We fought the fire to get the fire out and save the ship and the other thousands of men on. But there's men going to a watery grave. It's hard, guys. And you can reflect back on these situations. It's not easy. But there are decisions that have to be made, and that was one of the decisions. Fight the fire or try to save men. We fought the fire to get it out and save the ship. I have seen one day or one morning we came in and we were dark, and a ship right next to us got hit by a torpedo. Hit them in the engine room. And the men in the engine room tried to get out. But because of the flow of the water in the hull of the ship, they couldn't get out. And I remember we opened up the hatch. We had to pull up 5 sailors. They tried to get out, but they couldn't. And today, a soldier gets killed, he gets shipped back home. Then we would go to sea, and have to bury him at sea, put a heavy weight on their body, slide them down the wharf into the sea. I've seen a lot, but I did it for my country. And everybody aboard our ship
did their part. We all worked together. We happen to be a ship that has somewhat more of a history than some other ships. But by the same token, they're just as much a hero as what we were. So that is a picture, or a word picture, so of my journey, our journey. There's a lot of men that died doing the same thing that we did. And all I can say is thanks to the Lord. We were safe at home. And so I just want you to know that that's my story. Any questions? It just comes back to me, trust your training. Trust your training. There's going to come a time in your life when you're going to have to make a decision. And are you going to make the right decision, or are you going to trust your training? And you're going to trust your training to make the right decision. That's the main thing that I can think of. That's the only thing that I really, because when that man left the station, there was an empty machine, and there was a plane, and he decided to vacate and not do what he was supposed to do. And it's all because, I mean, we trained and trained and trained, but when it comes to really having to make the decision, do you follow your training, or do you not trust? I guess that's the thing that really sticks out in my mind the most. So this is the second time that I've had opportunity to share. It's been a real privilege. I hope you appreciate it and realize what a wonderful country we have. Because of men who went to Iwo Jima, other islands of the sea. I mean, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of men who gave their lives so that you and I could be free.